Hey guys, today we're going to be going over the fundamentals of doing like a beamer build parse on multi-targets, specifically like Oaks and the Mini, just as we're about to do for our PB prog and just as we're doing for the contest that's currently going on. If you look closely, you can see Spawn down there. He's been doing this for like a hot minute, probably like 30 minutes. Um, I've made a similar setup up here. We're gonna use it for different things. Um, like he's gonna do the challenge, and I'm going to explain to you how each of your skills work, how to properly use them, things like that. I'm on an Ardent Flame setup, same thing that you guys are gonna be using in core. Things might change next patch, but um, I'm just gonna teach you like the fundamentals of what's going on, right? So let's go ahead and start by reading off each of our skills one by one, uh, explaining how they work each time. Uh, it's gonna be super boring. It's gonna be a lot of just looking at it, examining things, really digging into it. Uh, but I mean that's what the video's for. So first skill, your most important skill that you're ever going to use on a beam build on the Arcanist is your Fate Carver. I've got Exhausting right now, but you guys are probably going to be using Pragmatic for core. I really don't want you to use Exhausting. But either way, it's the same thing pretty much. Uh, we can see that it is 22 by 3 meters. So it's 22 meters long and 3 meters in width. So we can go ahead and show that off. I know you guys know how it looks. So it's really long. It's extremely long, 22 meters. If I were to play around with that, um, we can take this guy and then 22, just about 22 meters. He is 22 meters away from me right now. Very, very far. That's extremely far. If I just stand here and beam at him, I am doing damage. If I back up, I'm still doing damage. Still doing damage. Still doing damage. Still doing damage. Um. Okay. Here's the cutoff. Right where I'm standing. Look at how long that is. That's incredibly long. You guys have no excuses for not hitting creepers and not hitting protectors. This is insane. This skill, and think about it. It's all like in a circle around you, right? Like you just spin it in a fucking circle and it's gonna hit that far around, like the entire whole way around. It's long, okay? But the one thing that I wanted to show you guys is it's not really that wide. 3 meters is not a lot of room in between for like width of a beam. I think it looks bigger than it really is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna test it with this dude, this little precursor. I'm going to stand, I'm gonna aim my beam, and I want you guys to like watch when it does damage to him and when it doesn't. We gotta wait for him to get back. Okay, so if I start beaming straight in this direction, he is not getting hit by it. He's still not getting hit by it. Now he is. Right here. Aiming just like this, he is not getting hit by the beam. Even though parts of the beam look like it probably should be touching him, it's definitely not. So it's going to look different with other hitboxes as well. You see, this guy is bigger. He's got more to him. This guy's tiny. It's going to be a lot harder to hit. So let's go ahead and test it on this guy. We can show you the differences between hitboxes. See, I'm not even touching him with the beam, not even close, and he is actively taking damage. His hitbox is going to be a lot bigger than that little skeleton dude. Even all the way back here. So this far away is still hitting the dude. He's actively taking damage from this. So his hitbox is going to be a lot bigger than something like this. This is something that you need to take into account when we're fighting Oaks and the Mini. The Mini and Oaks have two different hitbox. Oaks' hitbox, it's fucking huge, dude. It's massive. It's like extremely big. The Mini's hitbox, it's a lot more vertical and small, like this guy. The Minis are big, but they stand up really tall and really slim. Oaks is just kind of fat. So when you're attacking the Mini, you want to make sure like I can aim, all the way over here. It's still hitting right here is still hitting the big guy. This is a lot more equivalent to like Oaks. Like Oaks's hitbox is this fat, right? It's pretty fat. Right around here is when I start doing beam damage to the Centurion. But like, for example, if I just kind of step away from the precursor, he stops taking damage. You know what I mean? So this is really a really good example of like Oaks in the Mini and how important it is to look and see if you're actually hitting the Mini with your beam. One thing I will tell you, the way that I do Oaks, I kind of just stand behind the Mini and I draw a straight line between me through the Mini straight to Oaks, and I kind of just sit here the entire time. I will just sit here to make sure that all of my stuff goes through. Like if I need to move, I can. Like there's little circles under my feet, I'll do that, and I'll try my best to like angle both of them in it if I can. But like you have to draw that geometry in between both of them. You can't just like, so like imagine if I did this. If there's a circle and I just went straight like this, I'm not beaming the Mini anymore. I may have avoided the circle, but I'm not beaming the Mini. So like you have to really play around with it and like play with that geometry of, am I hitting? Am I not hitting? Where is the hitbox? I think on Oaks in the Mini, it's a lot more forgiving than this little dude. Like he's really small. The Mini is way bigger than this guy. But like you get the idea of like you have to really be careful with the geometry of these things because it's very particular. Our next skill, I just have it set up to where like this is like a standard setup for Ardent Flame. I have Relentless Focus on the front bar. We can talk about that. It's actually getting taken out next patch. I don't think it's going to be very good next patch. So, but while we have it for like a week or two, it's just a bar buffer currently where all you have to do is light attack until you get to 10 stacks of Relentless Focus. And each stack of Relentless Focus gives you 40 weapon and spell damage. So we've got 400 weapon and spell damage just from slotting a skill and light attacking. But that's getting taken away in like 2 weeks. So completely ignore that. I think we're going to remove that bar off of our skill off of our bar. So wouldn't even worry about it. Next one, we have Flail. This is the combo with the beam. Your second most important thing for playing a beam build. You need this to generate your crux. But it also does good damage on its own, and it also provides a unique debuff where anything that you flail will take 5% more damage. So let's look at it again. Flail is 15 by 5. So it's a little shorter than the Fate Carver beam, but it is 2 meters wider. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. If I just want to get them reset. Or we can look at it here. Definitely shorter than the beam, but 5 meters wide is pretty forgiving. So hitting both, still hitting both. Now we stop. Okay, right here, this is about how long your flail is, like max distance. Bam, just hit the Centurion from here. So it's definitely a lot shorter than the beam, but it's still really, really good, and it's also really forgiving. We just talked about how it was 5 meters instead of the 3 for the Fate Carver. So you're gonna be able to have some wiggle room like to the side. Like I'm sure if I stand right here, then I can hit both with the flail. Yes. Let's keep moving sideways. We're still hitting. Still hitting. Now we're not. Now we are. So about this distance, it's gonna shift it. Okay. This is like your max limit range here. A lot more forgiving than the beam is. Like the beam is definitely not even gonna touch until I get way closer. But still super important that you hit your flail on both targets. Just because of that 5% increased damage to abyssal ink targets. But that lasts for like 20 seconds. So once you've got that up on the mini, you're all good. But like we said before, it does good damage on its own, right? It's sort of your like semi-spammable. Definitely not gonna do as much as the Fate Carver, but like it does as much damage as like any normal dot. So it's still really good that you hit on both. Let's see, next skill. Definitely gonna want you guys in quick look. This one's super important. So quick look's huge. It's gonna orbit around your character. It's gonna pulsate every 2 seconds around your character. Okay, it says the radius is 5 meters around our character. So let's see. Let's test this out. Okay, I'm standing here, and my quick look is hitting the Centurion, but it's not hitting the mini. Let's scoot over a little bit. Still hitting Centurion, no mini. Right now, it's actually hitting nothing because of the hitboxes. Let's scoot a little bit closer to the mini. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so 5 meters, it's actually really close. That means they both targets have to be within their hitboxes have to be within 10 meters of you. Which is a really short distance. If we look again, oh, hold on. Just give me a second. So if we look, the Centurion is 12.4 meters away. If I wanted to move him closer, like I can move him closer like 10 meters. So this should be a lot more accurate of like my cloak should hit both if I stand in the right spot. Okay, so this right here is hitting both. But if we stand too close to one, it's just not going to hit the other guy. So if you want to maximize your cloak damage, you know, standing in here is a good idea. But guess what, fellas? You don't really care about that. You would rather your beam and your flail hit both and not worry about your cloak damage. Now, I say that because, like, sure, you can hit multi-targets with the cloak, but, like, it does such shit damage that it's not even worth doing that. But in cases where you can, you know, let's say you're not playing a beam build, then that'd be a good application of it, hitting multiple things with it. But I really wouldn't worry about it. I would just make sure that you're standing close enough to the thing that you're hitting for your cloak to hit, and then just don't worry about it. We're gonna skip over banner for now. And next we're going to look at blockade. Okay, cool. Let's look at blockade. A couple of you guys like to use greatsword, and I do too for single target fights, and even some AoE fights. I mean, it really depends, but we're gonna go through both of those. We're gonna go through blockade and stampede right now, and forget about the rest of these skills for a little bit. So I want you guys to use blockade and core, just because I want both enemies to be taking damage from your back bar skill. Let's go ahead and reset them. Okay, so blockade. Let's look at it again. 18 by 12. So this is pretty long. 18, it's longer than our flail. And then 12 meters is Almost, so it's almost as wide as our flail is long. Almost, just about. So let's go ahead and place it down. Mine is purple. You can't really see the outline of it, not quite. You can see little things coming off the ground. Very hard to see. I wonder if I could get let me try putting a different skill style on this. See if we can't see it better. I only have green. Green probably wouldn't look good. All right, let's try this out. I mean, not really. You can't really tell the difference. I don't know. 12 meters, pretty long. So let's go ahead and play with that. I want to put the purple back on. Thanks. Okay, so 12 meters long. Let's go ahead and place it like this. It is hitting the Centurion, but it's not hitting little dude. Let's place it like this. It is now hitting both, and I didn't even cast it near the guy. I'm pretty far away from the guy. This is still hitting both. This is still hitting both as well. So you can see it's very wide. Blockade is very wide, but it's also very long. So let's see how long can we get it before I'm not hitting the last guy. We're still hitting. We're still hitting. We're still hitting from all the way back here. Okay, all right. So it turns out blockade's a little longer than I thought it was. Very, very extremely long. Let's try this. Are we still hitting? We are. Okay. All right, there we go. There's our limit. Okay, scoop back in. All right, so that's gonna be about your limit from all the way back here to this far in front of you. It's a very large AoE, extremely big. It's so fucking massive. So it's a lot more forgiving to place wall than it is stampede. One more thing that I want to show you is blockade is in front of you. Okay, so what I mean by that is if I were to stand in front of this guy and aim at the guy in front of me, my blockade is not going to hit behind me. The little dude's not taking damage. This blockade is in front of me, right? So if you're casting blockade from in front of the mini, your blockade's doing absolutely nothing to the dude behind you, which would be a huge loss in damage. You're better off running Stampede at that point. So another thing, it's also not to my side, or it is, but like it's in front of me to my side, right? So I have to stand sideways, like with this guy right next to me, for my blockade to hit both. If I even like go in front of him by a little bit, it like right here, this just doesn't count. It does not count me as doing damage to the precursor, even though like he should be pretty much to my side. It's just not counting. So if you want to always hit your blockade on both targets, make sure that it is in front of you. This is usually really easy to do on Oaks. It's usually really easy to do on a lot of fights, but just be super careful that you're not casting blockade in front of the dude. Like you have to make sure that you hit both. Blockade is huge damage. It does a ton. Now, the next thing I wanted to look at was replacing blockade with stampede to show you guys how not great this would be on Oaks. Stampede might increase your single target damage. If we were doing mini skips, sure, 100%. I would tell you to stampede Oaks and forget about the mini. But we're not doing that. We're killing 3 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and stampede. Bam. You can see a tiny AoE just kind of around the dude. So anything nearby that is going to take damage. But like obviously this dude nowhere near that, right? So Let's go ahead and look at that. Radius is 5 meters. So 5 meters from the target is how I understand that. So like if I just bam 5 meters around, we can go ahead and play with this actually. By putting this guy a little bit closer, like right around here. He is taking damage from Stampede. He is too. Cool. They're fucking with me. But if I place this guy right here, I'm wondering, I don't think my Stampede would hit. Okay, it did. So Stampede's hitting all the way back here, so it's 5 meters out from the target that you're placing it on. Now, if it's Oaks, the center of Oaks' hitbox, 5 meters out, you're not gonna hit shit, dude. It's like Oaks is gonna take up that whole AoE and nothing else is gonna be there. So if you're using Stampede on something like Oaks, you're only doing damage to one thing. You would rather have multiple damage. You would rather hit two things than one, right? Like, let's say, for example, let's say my Stampede does 15k single target. 15k single target. That's pretty good. Like 15k single target's pretty good for Stampede. Now, let's say my Blockade does 10k single target. You'd be like, oh, well, Stampede's a higher number. Sure. Stampede is 15k and Wall is 10. Sure. But if I can hit two targets and do 10k to both of them, then my DPS is effectively 20k. And with Stampede, I'm not going to be able to hit both of them. So my Stampede's only going to still do that 15. So you would rather hit two targets most of the time, if it makes sense to, than to hit only one target at a time. I've yelled at you guys for this same thing before in other raids like Cloud Rest, where it's like, why would you only want your one skill, your beam, to hit one thing when you could hit multiple things? Why would you want your Fate Carver, which is already doing like, let's say your Fate Carver is doing 50k DPS to one thing, why not have that Fate Carver do 50k DPS to another thing? Think about it. You know what I mean? If you can do 50k twice, you're doing 100k. Bam, easy. Like, hit as many things as possible when it makes sense to do so. Make that a habit. Make that something that you guys are going to do moving forward. Do the geometry lines, you know what I mean? Aim your beams. Like, make sure that they're hitting both. If you're just, oh, I'm hitting one, like, all it takes is a simple step over, and now you're hitting two things. You're doubling your parse. So let's go ahead and take off Stampede and replace it with Blockade and go next skill. We're looking at Flames of Oblivion. Okay, so Fu's pretty neat. Pretty standard Dragonite skill. It's going to shoot 3 fireballs every 5 seconds. So you're going to get, in a 15-second duration, you're going to get 3 fireball shootouts. So let's go ahead and move these guys back to had them. Just about. We good. Okay, so let's be in combat with these guys. Bam. One set of fireballs. 5 seconds goes by. Bam. Another set of fireballs. Another 5 seconds goes by. Bam. Another set of fireballs. And then another one. So I believe that was a total of 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1, 2 coming up. Bam. And then we're coming up on 3. Bam. And then a 4th at the end. So you're getting 4 procs of 3 fireballs. It says that the radius is 15 meters. So 15 meters around me in a circle is where my fireballs would shoot to. So let's go ahead and get back in combat. Let's test this out. 15 meters. Is it going to hit the big guy? Nope. Nope. Yes. Fireball hitting the big guy. Hitting big guy right here. Okay, so if anything is within like big guy range and a circle around me, Fu is going to shoot a fireball at it. This one's pretty straightforward. You don't have to aim foo. You don't have to do anything with it. The only thing that I'm asking is that you stand close enough, like to where you're definitely going to hit foo on both oaks and the mini. In a setup like down here, we can actually go move down here. I'm tired of playing up there. Spawn's gone, so I can come back down here and do whatever I want. So in something like this, like the actual setup that I have for you guys, let's go ahead and press foo, staying back here. It is hitting the ogre. Hitting the ogre. Hitting the ogre. Yes. Still doing it. Even from back here. Now it's not. So right here's your limit. Still going to hit the ogre. It's very forgiving. 15 meters is a very long range. So you shouldn't ever have to worry about hitting both with these guys. It just shouldn't really be a problem. Now, the one thing I will tell you, since it's 3 fireballs, it's going to shoot, let's say, at oaks and the mini and a frog. And let's imagine that there's like 3 frogs nearby. It very well could shoot at 3 frogs and miss the mini and oaks. So that's going to be something that I'm going to have to deal with, where I have to chain in the frogs and make sure that you guys are killing them so that your foo isn't like just fucking shooting off at frogs. If we just leave frogs up, I'm actively ruining your guys' parts. So keep that in mind. But it's really straightforward. Foo's not hard to use. 15 meters is very forgiving. You just have to be anywhere near the both of them and you're all good. Next up, I have claw, but I don't know if I don't really think I want you guys to use claw for oaks and the mini. And the thing is, we just talked about this before. Why would I hit one thing when I can hit 2 things with a skill and do more damage? Now, the difference there was before we were using Stampede. I can go ahead and put that back on. If I use Stampede here, and then I use Stampede while the other one's active, that Stampede goes away. That Stampede will not stay there. I can't multi-Stampede things, right? But I can multi-claw things. There's the difference there. You can multi-claw. So you'll get double damage out of your claw. But 1 GCD, 2 GCD. I've just spent 2 GCDs putting claw on the guys when I could have spent 2 GCDs without the skill entirely and instead opted for something like a bar buffer or even like molten whip, literally anything to help myself out that's not that. I could have done I was testing out caltrops the other day. You know, why would I want to do a skill that's going to hit 2 things, or a skill that's going to hit 1 thing, when I could do like 1 GCD and hit both, right? So, but there's a whole bunch of things that go into that. I'm not sure what's best. If you want to simplify your rotation and not worry about it, I would just drop claw entirely. The next thing, scholarship. That's just, you know what that is. It builds your crux. It has nothing to do with the fight. You can't aim it or anything. It's just something that you want to keep up so that you get that first crux back. Your banner as well. I mean, there's nothing to really talk about with the banner. It's not going to affect the fight either. Your soul harvest in cap, you're not using that during the fight. Unless there's like, if it's just oaks and you're just trying to kill oaks, then yeah, sure. Language's funny. I'm actually gonna go up to this other one. I don't know if I'm not sure if Pickle's gonna be using that, so I'll let him have that. I would prefer if you guys use standards for our core. I don't really think language is gonna be the best option here, just because standard's really strong. Like, I'm talking standard is incredibly strong. It buffs your damage, and it also does like a hefty amount of damage on its own. So like it really is just a really beefy skill. So here's an example. Cool. I remembered it. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop a languid on Oaks. You can see that my languid is only doing damage to the big guy. My languid's not doing any damage to the mini. Let's go ahead and try that again and see if anything different happens when I drop it on just the mini alone. Just the mini. We'll even inch it a little forward. It's only hitting one thing at a time. So if you're gonna use languid on Oaks, which I don't recommend that you do since we're doing Ardent Flame, but if you're going to, you shouldn't. But if you're going to, if you're doing a group that's not doing Ardent Flame, you don't have access to standard, you have to make sure that your languid is in between both and it's going to hit both hitboxes. If I place my languid here, it's actively doing damage to two things. We just talked about this like 1,000 times. Why have your languid hit one thing if your languid's going to do like 10k in a parse? You know, why would you want your languid to only do 10k when you could do 20k? You know what I mean? Hit as many things as possible with your abilities as you can, if it makes sense to do so. With a languid, it definitely makes sense to do so. Next thing we're going to try out is standard. This is what I want you guys to be using. Let's go ahead and look at standard. So, okay, call down battle standard. It does flame damage every 1 second for 20 seconds. So it's just going to do dot damage for 20 seconds. It's very long. Major defile, you don't really care about that. Standing in the area increases your damage done and reduces damage taken by 15%. So this is something that I'm not too sure you guys fully understand yet, but you have to stay in your standard to get the majority of the benefit of the damage. So like, I can place my standard, but if I walk out of it, it's just the dot damage from the standard that's ticking right now. This is not buffing my damage whatsoever. But the minute that I step into the standard, I am doing 15% more damage and I'm taking 15% less damage. But only while I'm in this standard. So, super important. Like, I think on this setup down there, Pickle's at it right now, so I can't really show you, but let's say I'm gonna move this guy a little far away. Let's say I drop my standard, maybe a little farther. Let's say I drop my standard. Okay, he's being hit by it. He's being hit by it. But if I'm standing back here, I mean, I'm not in the standard. I'm not gonna get the benefit of that standard drop. And you can tell by the little fiery outline to see like where you need to be at to get the buff. So how do you get around this? I just told you guys to stand back here when you're beaming and everything to make sure that you actually get your damage off. How do you get around that? Well, one thing that I've been playing around with on that other setup compared to this one is so your beam can go to your sides and behind you. So let's show that off. I'm beaming in front of the mini guy. I'm gonna back slowly into him. I'm doing damage to him right here. Right here. So I'm this close to the precursor. I have to be really, 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 really close to him. But I am actively doing beam damage behind me to the precursor. So if I'm touching him at all from any direction, I'm going to be doing it, or doing damage. So you can use that same concept on Oaks and the mini and go anywhere around the mini and your beam is still going to be doing damage. So let's talk about that standard. Let's drop it. And then instead of standing back here the whole time and not getting a 15% damage buff, let's go ahead and just move in here just for a little bit. And then when it's about to end, I can be back here and do my stuff. The big important part of that is you can only do that with beam. We talked about it before. The other things like wall, when I cast wall right here, it's not going to hit behind me. When I cast flail, it's not going to hit behind me. The foo will, the quick look will, but the flail and the wall, two important, very important parts of your setup, like they're not going to hit behind you. So you have to alternate between doing the blockade, the flail, get back in for the beam, and then when your beam's about to expire, you can go back out, do whatever you need to do. This is a good practice. You can do this if you feel like it. And it really only matters when you're doing the standard to make sure that you're actually getting the buff from the standard. Like right here, if I'm standing back here, I'm just not getting buffed by the standard. I'm not getting an extra damage buff right now. I'm doing 15% less damage while my ultimate's up. Your standard is not just the standard damage. Keep that in mind. This is super important. Your standard is really powerful because it's a dot that does a hefty amount of damage and it buffs your damage by 15%. It's actually a crazy fucking ultimate that's super insane. And it lasts 20 seconds. It's fucking huge, dude. Like, incredible ultimate. Highly recommend that you guys are using that on Oaks. Let's see, what is there anything else to talk about? Do I need to talk about anything else? I mean, if I was gonna show you guys like an example parse, I can do that. I'm just gonna be simple and put a bar buffer on the back bar. Let's go ahead and put on parse food so I don't just stay out here. Okay, so example parse. Put my dots down, standard. I'm gonna flail from behind. And then I'm gonna stand up in here so I get that 15% buff from my standard. I want to make sure this guy gets flailed. Re-upping my stuff. And then back in my standard. Standard's gone, so now it doesn't matter. If there's no mini up, you can go back up to Oaks to make sure that your light attacks hit him, so that your flame enchant, your poison enchant. Mini back up. I'm gonna go back here. Place my stuff, flail. Do whatever I need to do. And then when I start beaming, I can go back in. Mini's down, going back up, hit my light attacks on Oaks. I'd prefer it if while the minis are down, you guys are hitting your light attacks on the minis. So here's the example. I placed my wall in between, and it just isn't doing damage to the precursor right now. That was an oversight on my part. Really super important. We already talked about it. Your blockade needs to hit both. That is a necessary thing. You need all of your abilities to hit both as much as possible. There's a couple little tricks I can tell you. I don't know if they're going to be super applicable here, but let's say, oh, I just moved the floor. Okay. Let's move this guy closer. Act like it's closer to like Oaks and the mini, something like that. I don't really think they're that close, but okay. So secret trick. Let's say you're just hanging out. You're doing what, if you find yourself in this situation. Blockade, you remember how we talked about it? It's not only long, but it is wide as fuck. 12 meters in front of me from side to side. It is wide as fuck. Okay? So this is going to work just as good on Oaks. If you find yourself in the situation to where you need to place your blockade like this, it's going to work. Both of them are actively taking blockade damage. And look where I fucking placed it, dude. Look where I placed. How odd is that? How incredibly odd is that it's still hitting from right here? It's hitting from right here. It is hitting both. I'll even scoot a little closer to this guy. Still hitting both. I find that to be super incredible. If you find yourself in a situation to do that, it's perfectly acceptable to do that. But I do still think it's a lot more forgiving to place it just like this. and just stick with this this like linear line type movement. I find it a lot more forgiving to play like this. Okay. I mean, I really don't think there's anything else I can tell you guys. I don't think there's too much. Maybe little things. I mean, you probably asked Fate how to do better, but little things like that, that's all I got. Just as a little trick, I'll show you a little party trick that I like to use. Here's my languid. There it goes. I moved it. If you didn't know you could move your languid, um, you have to comment. You have to. I'm drawing fucking little kid drawings with it, making circles. All right. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, put it in the comments or ping me in Discord. Anything at all. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it wasn't too long. OBS is telling me that we're at 41 minutes right now. I'm gonna keep talking. I need ad revenue. 4118, 4120. We're almost at 41 and a half minutes, guys. Let's see if we can get to 6 hours. Maybe. Let's see.